Imagine for a moment that nothing exists, literally nothing. There is no sky, no ground, no light, no sound, and no time. It is a concept that is almost impossible for our human minds to grasp. But this is exactly where our story begins. It starts in a state of absolute emptiness, a vast, dark, and silent void. According to one of the most famous and foundational stories ever told, this empty canvas did not stay blank for long. This is the story of the creation of the world, a narrative that has shaped human culture, art, and philosophy for thousands of years. Whether you view it as literal history, a profound poem, or a guiding myth, it is a fascinating tale of order emerging from chaos. In the beginning, the story tells us there was a creator. This divine being hovered over the dark, watery depths of the formless void. The creator did not need tools or materials to build a universe. Instead, the creator used something much more powerful. The creator used words. With a single command, a voice broke the eternal silence. The creator said, "Let there be light," and instantly the absolute darkness was shattered. Brilliant, blinding light flooded the space. The creator saw that the light was good and separated it from the darkness, creating the very first cycle of day and night. This was the first day, the spark that ignited the engine of the universe. But a bright empty space is still an empty space. Over the next few days, the creator went to work like a master architect and artist combined. On the second day, a massive expanse was formed to separate the chaotic waters, creating the sky. On the third day, the waters below the sky were gathered together, allowing dry land to suddenly push through the surface. The creator called the dry ground land and the gathered waters seas. Then the land was given a purpose. The creator commanded the earth to burst forth with life. Green shoots pushed through the soil. Mighty trees grew tall in seconds, and colorful flowers bloomed, covering the bare dirt in a vibrant blanket of vegetation. The world was now lush and green, but it was still quiet. On the fourth day, the creator filled the vast sky with lights to govern the time and the seasons. A blazing sun was set to rule the day, and a glowing moon, along with billions of twinkling stars, was scattered across the night sky. The stage was now perfectly lit and beautifully decorated. It was time for the actors to arrive. The fifth day brought a massive explosion of movement and sound. The creator filled the oceans with swarms of living creatures, from tiny darting fish to massive deep-sea monsters. At the same time, birds of every color and size took to the air, filling the brand new sky with their songs. The world was finally alive, teeming with energy. Then came the sixth day, the grand finale of this cosmic construction project. First, the creator spoke to the earth, and out came all kinds of land animals. Great beasts, tiny crawling insects, wild predators, and gentle herds wandered the fresh green landscapes. But the creator had one final masterpiece in mind, a creation that would be entirely different from anything else. The creator formed a new being, not just by speaking, but by shaping it from the dust of the ground. The creator breathed the breath of life into this form, and the first human came alive. His name was Adam. Unlike the animals, Adam was made in the very image of his Creator, possessing the ability to think, reason, love, and create. The Creator placed Adam in a spectacular, custom-made environment called the Garden of Eden. It was a paradise beyond imagination. The weather was always perfect. A gentle mist watered the ground, and 4 great rivers flowed through the landscape. The garden was filled with every kind of tree that was beautiful to look at and good for food. Adam had a home, a purpose to care for the garden, and a close relationship with his Creator. Yet, the Creator noticed that something was missing. Adam was the only one of his kind. He was lonely. So the Creator put Adam into a deep sleep, took one of his ribs, and formed a companion perfectly suited for him. Her name was Eve. When Adam woke up, he was overjoyed. The two of them were completely innocent, living in total harmony with each other, the animals, and the world around them. Life in the Garden of Eden was flawless. They lacked nothing and knew no pain or sorrow. However, there was a catch. It was a very small catch, but it had the potential to change everything. Right in the middle of this beautiful garden stood 2 very special trees. One was the tree of life. The other was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The Creator gave Adam and Eve incredible freedom. They could eat the fruit from absolutely any tree in the entire garden, with just one exception. They were strictly forbidden to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The Creator warned them that if they ate from it, they would certainly die. For a time, everything was peaceful. Adam and Eve tended the garden, enjoyed each other's company, and respected the one rule they had been given. But a seed of curiosity had been planted. The forbidden tree sat right in the center of their home, its fruit looking just as appealing as any other. And lurking in the shadows of this perfect paradise was a creature more clever and subtle than any other animal, waiting for the perfect moment to strike up a conversation. In the next part, we will see what happens when that cunning creature approaches Eve and asks a simple question that threatens to shatter their perfect world forever. The sun filtered beautifully through the thick green canopy of leaves right in the center of the garden. Eve stood near the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Up until this very moment, it had been a completely ordinary, beautiful day in paradise. The air was warm, the birds were singing softly, and everything was perfectly at peace. But then the serpent arrived. This creature was not like the other animals grazing in the fields. It was remarkably crafty, smooth, and highly intelligent. It did not roar or threaten her. It did not try to scare her away from the tree. Instead, it slithered up quietly and struck up a casual, almost innocent conversation. "Did the Creator really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden?" the serpent asked. Notice the clever trick hidden in those words. The serpent deliberately exaggerated the rule. The goal was to make the Creator sound restrictive, harsh, and unfair. Eve quickly stepped in to correct the creature. She explained that they were completely free to eat the fruit from any of the trees in the garden, except for the one standing right there in the middle. She repeated the strict warning they had been given. She noted that they must not eat from it or even touch it, or they would die. But the serpent just looked at her and delivered a bold, direct lie. "You will not certainly die," it whispered. The creature then planted a powerful, toxic seed of doubt deep in Eve's mind. It softly suggested that the Creator was intentionally holding something wonderful back from them. The serpent claimed that the Creator knew their eyes would be opened if they ate the fruit. They would become just like the Creator, suddenly possessing the ultimate knowledge of good and evil. According to the serpent, this was not a deadly trap, but a hidden door to immense power and enlightenment. Eve turned her attention back to the forbidden tree. Before this exact conversation, it was just an off-limits object, something she simply walked past every day. Now, it looked entirely different. The light seemed to catch it in a new way. She saw that the fruit looked incredibly appetizing. It was pleasing to the eye, glowing with vibrant color and smelling perfectly sweet. But more than that, it now carried the intoxicating promise of hidden wisdom. A massive internal struggle began. On one hand, she had a perfect life, a fiercely loving Creator, and exactly one simple boundary meant to keep her safe. On the other hand, she felt a burning curiosity and the tempting promise of divine elevation. The stakes could not have been higher. Would she trust the absolute goodness of the Creator, or would she take control into her own hands? Slowly, Eve reached out her hand. Her fingers brushed against the smooth, cool skin of the fruit. She pulled it from the branch. She took a bite. Then she turned to Adam. He was not far away on the other side of the garden. He was right there beside her the entire time. Adam had heard the Creator's clear command directly. He had just watched the entire exchange with the serpent unfold. Yet, when Eve handed him the partially eaten fruit, he did not hesitate. He did not argue. He did not knock it out of her hand, and he did not remind her of the rule. He simply took it and ate it too. In an absolute instant, the entire atmosphere of the world shifted. The serpent had promised their eyes would be opened, and they certainly were. But the enlightenment they received was nothing like the glorious wisdom they had imagined just moments before. Instead, a heavy, suffocating weight fell over their shoulders. For the very first time in their perfect existence, they felt cold fear. They felt bitter guilt. And they felt a deep, piercing sense of shame. Looking at each other, they suddenly realized they were completely naked. The innocent, natural comfort they had always known was completely gone. It was violently replaced by an overwhelming, panicky urge to cover up and hide. They frantically scrambled to gather large fig leaves, nervously twisting and sewing them together to make crude coverings for their bodies. Their perfect harmony with the world was permanently broken. The vibrant colors of Eden suddenly seemed to dim, and the peaceful silence of the forest now felt incredibly tense and threatening. Then, as the golden heat of the day began to fade into twilight, a familiar sound drifted through the trees. It was the sound of the Creator walking in the garden during the cool evening breeze. Before today, this was the absolute best part of their day. It was their time of intimate connection, joyful conversation, and deep peace. Now, that exact same gentle sound filled them with sheer, paralyzing terror. Adam and Eve scrambled into the thick brush. They pressed themselves flat against the dirt, holding their breath, desperately hoping the Creator would just walk past them. They tried to blend into the shadows of the very trees they were originally meant to care for and protect. The footsteps stopped. The garden went completely still. Even the birds seemed to stop singing. Then a voice echoed through the trees, asking a profound question that would change the course of human history forever. "Where are you?" the Creator called out. They were trapped. Their hearts pounded violently in their chests as they huddled in the dirt behind the leaves. They had to answer, but how could they possibly explain what they had just done? In the next part, we will see what happens when Adam and Eve are forced to step out of the shadows and face the ultimate consequences of their devastating choice. The voice echoed through the quiet garden. "Where are you?" Adam and Eve were trembling in the brush, clutching their crude fig leaves. Slowly, reluctantly, Adam stepped out of the shadows. He kept his eyes cast downward. He answered the Creator, saying he heard the sound of footsteps in the garden and was afraid. He admitted he was hiding because he was naked. The Creator asked a question that cut straight to the heart of the matter. "Who told you that you were naked?" The Creator then asked the only logical follow-up question. "Have you eaten from the tree that I commanded you not to eat from?" This was the moment to take responsibility. But instead, the blame game began, something that humans have been doing ever since. Adam immediately pointed his finger at Eve. He even subtly blamed the Creator, saying that the woman the Creator put here with him gave him the fruit, and so he ate it. The Creator then turned to Eve and asked what she had done. Eve quickly pointed her finger down at the dirt. She blamed the serpent, saying the creature deceived her, and so she ate it. The truth was out. The one boundary set to protect them had been crossed. Now the natural consequences of their choice had to be spoken over the world. The Creator started with the serpent. Because of what it had done, the creature was cursed above all other animals. It would forever crawl on its belly and eat dust. Furthermore, a permanent hostility was placed between the serpent and humanity. Next, the Creator spoke to Eve. Her consequences would strike at the very heart of human relationships and family. The Creator explained that her pain in childbirth would be severe. Additionally, the perfect harmony she shared with Adam would be broken. Their relationship would now involve power struggles, friction, and a desire to rule over one another. Finally, the Creator turned to Adam. Because he listened to his wife and ate the forbidden fruit, the very ground he walked on was cursed. The days of easy gardening in a flawless paradise were completely over. From now on, humanity would have to work incredibly hard to survive. The earth would produce thorns and thistles. Adam would have to sweat and struggle just to grow enough food to eat. But the most devastating consequence was saved for last. The Creator gently but firmly reminded Adam of his origin and his new destiny. He was made from the dust of the ground, and now, eventually, he would return to that dust. Death had officially entered the human story. The atmosphere was incredibly heavy. Adam and Eve had lost their innocence, their peace, and their eternal life. Yet, even in this moment of profound tragedy and discipline, the Creator showed them incredible mercy and care. The Creator did not leave them shivering in their inadequate, drying fig leaves. Instead, the Creator made garments out of animal skins and gently clothed Adam and Eve. This act provided them with real warmth and protection, but it came at a high cost. It was the very first time life had to be lost to cover human shame. Now, a difficult decision had to be made. The tree of life still stood in the center of the garden. If Adam and Eve ate from that tree in their newly broken, corrupted state, they would live forever in a world of suffering and separation. To protect them from that terrible fate, the Creator had to send them away. Adam and Eve were banished from the Garden of Eden. They took their final look at the beautiful rivers, the lush fruit trees, and the peaceful animals. They walked out into the wild, untamed world to work the very ground from which they were made. To ensure they could not return, the Creator placed heavily armed spiritual beings called cherubim at the east side of the garden. Alongside them was a brilliant, flashing, flaming sword that turned in every direction, guarding the way back to the tree of life. The perfect paradise was lost, and the painful, messy, beautiful reality of the human experience had officially begun. When we look back at this foundational story, it is easy to focus only on the mistakes. But this narrative offers us a profound reflection on human nature. It reminds us that free will is a powerful and heavy gift. Every day we face our own versions of the forbidden fruit. We struggle with the desire to take control, to ignore wise boundaries, and to define good and evil for ourselves. We still feel the sting of shame and the instinct to hide our flaws from each other and from the world. Yet, the story also shows us that even when we make devastating choices, we are not left entirely alone. Just as the Creator fashioned clothes to cover Adam and Eve, we can find grace and protection in the midst of our own consequences. Our world may be broken and full of difficult toil, but it is also a place where we can learn, grow, and continue seeking a way back to connection and peace. And that is the story of the creation of the world.